All right, so today we are going to basically cover all of the excretory and respiratory system. They're kind of related, so makes sense to talk about them together. So the excretory system, it comes from the word excretion, and excretion means to get rid of waste. And that's what our excretory system does. It gets rid of waste from that build up in our bodies. So all of our sort of normal life processes, they generate waste products. Like respiration, creates carbon dioxide. Building up and breaking down different molecules produces waste products. And we need to get rid of those. If they build up in our blood, then they can start to poison us, and that can be dangerous. So the excretory system's job is to get rid of those waste products. And one of the most important parts of the excretory system, probably the most important part, are the kidneys. Okay? So we have two kidneys, one on our left side, one on our right side. They're towards your back. Okay? If you look in the model that we have, if I took out all of the organs, the kidneys are way towards the back here. They're on each side of the spine. And if you ever have seen a kidney bean's called that because it looks just like a kidney. It's the exact shape. They're towards your back. And so we have two, and their job is basically all of the blood in our body goes through our kidneys, and as it moves through our kidneys, they remove waste products. They remove toxins from our blood. And what they do, they get rid of these toxins from the blood. They take them out of the blood, and they put them into urine. They form urine by mixing water with these different toxins that they're removing from our blood. Joe?
Can you live with one kidney?
Yeah, so your kidney, you need your kidneys. If your kidneys are not working, waste pretty quickly builds up in your blood and poisons you, and you can die from it. So you have two kidneys. You can live with one kidney. So one kidney, if one kidney malfunctions or is damaged for some reason, you can live just fine with a single kidney. It'll do all the filtering of your blood, and you'll be healthy. You cannot live without any kidneys permanently. So it does happen, though. Sometimes a person's kidneys are damaged through a disease or through an illness or an accident, and they're not working. If that is the case, then a person needs to go for a treatment that's called dialysis treatment. You ever heard of dialysis treatment? Dialysis treatment is basically when a person goes to the doctor's office or the hospital, usually usually once a day or sometimes more often, and they get hooked up to a machine that filters their blood and takes away some of these toxins because their kidneys are not doing it on their own. And so a person can stay alive by going every single day for these dialysis treatments. Now obviously it's not ideal. You have to go there every day and you have to watch what sort of foods you eat and so forth. But it can keep somebody alive until what's the actual solution if your kidneys have malfunctioned? Yeah?
Transplant.
Yeah, a transplant. So a kidney can be transplanted. So if a relative, for example, may donate a kidney to somebody, and if they do, let's say if my daughter had her kidneys were not working, I could donate one of my kidneys. Basically, they do surgery, they remove one of my kidneys, they implant it, transplant it into my daughter, and I could live just fine because I still have my one healthy kidney, and she would be okay because she would have my kidney then helping to take away these waste products from her blood, and so we'd both be okay. So you can get a kidney transplant. The other way is sometimes a person is an organ donor, which means when they die, they have said, I would like to donate any of my organs that are still healthy to people that are in need of them. And so if a person dies in a car accident, they may be an organ donor. The doctor would take their kidneys out. They cool them. They ship them to a nearby hospital, and somebody nearby is probably waiting for a kidney transplant. We have lots of people that need transplants of kidneys and livers and other organs, but not enough organs to give them. So there's a waiting list that when one becomes available, somebody from the top of the list receives that kidney or that liver or whatever the case may be. So A kidney transplant is a more permanent solution rather than going every single day for dialysis. Joe?
I have two things. First thing, doesn't like that sticker matter, like the organ for?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's from the last teacher in this room, but that's like a pro-organ donating bumper sticker that's on that shelf. Yep.
And then like the second thing, I feel like having a transplant for a kidney, they go into your back. Or
Yeah, because they would go through your back because your kidneys are towards your back, rather than going and having to move all of your digestive organs aside to work on your kidneys. Jenna?
I thought kidneys are like lowered.
No, they're up pretty high. They're not like down in your lower back. They're more in the middle of your back. Yep, you can see like in that diagram. All right, so your kidneys are important, like we said. They filter, they produce urine. Kidneys are also good at monitoring how much water you have available. What happens to your urine if you're dehydrated?
Yellow.
It's dark. It's very concentrated. And the reason is because your kidneys know. Your kidneys are monitoring how hydrated you are. If you are dehydrated, they'll say, okay, I'm not going to put as much water into the urine because we need it other places, and so your urine will be darker in color. If you're well hydrated, your kidneys are monitoring that, and basically they say, okay, we got plenty of water, I can put lots of it in the urine, and then you get rid of it. So they conserve that water. All right, so they're constantly producing urine all the time. 24 hours a day, your kidneys are producing urine. And it goes drip, one drop at a time, and it travels down these long tubes called the ureters. And it brings the ureters bring the urine to the urinary bladder. That's down here. And the bladder basically stores up this urine. And as the bladder fills with urine, it starts to send a stimulus to the brain and tells the person they need to use the bathroom soon. Okay. So the bladder basically just stores the urine until it's ready to be eliminated. And then when it is ready to be eliminated, it leaves the bladder through another tube called the urethra. The urethra carries urine from the bladder to the outside world, to the toilet. So there's 2 ureters in every person and 1 urethra. This is a picture of the kidney, so you can see blood comes in, they're colored red here, these arteries, and sort of loops around through the kidneys. Along the way, cells inside of the kidney take the waste away, and then the purified blood goes out back through the veins, back to the circulatory system. The waste products go through these little tubes here, and eventually leads to the ureter, which sends the urine down into the bladder. A person can sometimes develop kidney stones, which are like little hard calcium, usually, secretions, like a little tiny pebble of calcium, and that's a common illness. And as they make their way through the excretory system can be very painful as they move through these very thin tubes. So basically, as blood comes around our cells, they give their waste product to the blood. Blood goes to the kidneys, where the waste products are removed to form urine, and then the clean blood can go back into circulation. Joe?
Is like the kidney filled with water?
They're not filled, no, they're just tissue. There's kidney tissue, and they have those blood vessels running through them to take the blood to be filtered. We have some other excretory organs. The skin is considered one. How does our skin get rid of waste? Can you think about that? Jenna?
Sweat.
Yes, sweat is a way of removing excess water and salts from our body. Also helps to cool us down. We have glands in our skin that produce sweat. But if you've ever been exercising for a long time or really hard and you get sweat in your eyes, how does it feel?
It hurts.
Yeah, it burns. Or when it gets in your mouth, how does it taste? Salty. Or if you look in your baseball cap, if you play baseball or something, there's often like a white stain in there. That's because your sweat has evaporated, but what's left over are the salts that your sweat glands were excreting. Jill?
Is that what my kid up my shin guard?
Yeah, is it white? It's sweat. Yeah, that's the salts that are left over. Because the liquid part, the water evaporates, but the salts are left behind. Sometimes if you're out for a long time outside or whatever, and you're sweating, and then the sweat evaporates, sometimes you get like white, a white crusty stuff on your skin. Again, it's just the salt that's left over. Yeah, Joe?
It's like you get that in like your head or something. Did you like wash it out?
Yeah, it just will dissolve in the water probably. So our skin is an excretory gland, but so are our lungs. Our lungs are very important because they get rid of the carbon dioxide that's produced in our body. What process produces carbon dioxide in all of our cells?
Respiration.
Yeah, cellular respiration produces carbon dioxide. It's a waste product. And so we got to get rid of that, and we do that in our lungs. We'll talk more about that in the next system, the respiratory system. All right, so our next one is the respiratory system, which is includes our lungs and diaphragm and trachea and so forth. And what's the purpose of those organs, the respiratory system? Jacob?
Keep air in our body.
Well, what exactly, when we say air, let's be more specific.
Oxygen.
Yeah, it's to provide our body with oxygen and to get rid of, Joe? Carbon dioxide, right. That's why we breathe in and out, is because we need oxygen for all of our cells to get energy, and we need to get rid of the carbon dioxide that they produce as waste.
How do the lungs become like voluntary or involuntary?
Because when we don't think about it, our brain sort of takes over and causes our diaphragm to contract and relax. But then when we do think of it, it becomes conscious. Like if I tell you right now, when you think about your breathing, now you have to like say, oh, I better breathe in, or oh, I haven't breathed out in a while. It starts to feel weird, and you start like. But if you stop thinking about it, then you just sort of do it on your own. So it's sort of conscious, sort of unconscious, depending on whether you're thinking about it or not. So we breathe in and out using our diaphragm. Our diaphragm is this muscle that's stretched across the inside of our rib cage. And as it contracts, we breathe in, and our lungs inflate with air. And as it relaxes, we exhale. If you get hit really hard in the back or something, you fall over, it can be stunned temporarily for a few seconds. And what do we call that? Yeah, getting the wind knocked out of you. Use your diaphragm just sort of got jolted, and you can't breathe for a few seconds. If it gets involuntary spasms at regular intervals, what do we call that? Yeah, the hiccups. Hiccup, it's because your diaphragm is sort of convulsing, and it forces that pressure in your chest.
How come like if you get hiccups once a day, you always get them like 2 or 3 more times?
I don't know. And scientists don't know a whole lot about like things like yawning either. Like yawning, is contagious. Like if somebody yawns, and then pretty soon, other people feel like they need to yawn. It's sort of an unknown to scientists. So the diaphragm is a muscle that brings air into and out of your lungs. Yeah, I changed the picture because people are getting too scared of the picture I had in there earlier.
What's the picture?
What? The last slide?
Yeah.
Oh,
Why Mr. Prue?
sorry. Everybody loves Mr. Prue, right?
Why not Mr. Richard? Yeah. Why
I
not
was
me?
just as scared as the other picture I had in there.
Oh, is that Mr. Richard?
Or not.
Wait, what was the other picture you did?
Yeah, it's still in your notes. Yeah, but kids are crying in class and they're too disturbing. So breathing in and out So it's a little bit confusing because sometimes respiration is used to mean breathing in and out. Other times we talk about respiration in the cells. So really what we should call is breathing in and out is inflating and deflating our lungs. Okay? Respiration really we should use to talk about what happens in a cell. Cellular respiration, taking glucose and oxygen, producing ATP, carbon dioxide, and water. But the air you breathe in every day, the air around us in the atmosphere, it's about 21% oxygen. It's mostly nitrogen, 79%, and about 1% carbon dioxide, actually less than that. But after you exhale, so the air you inhale has those percentages. When you exhale, there's about 16% oxygen. So what has happened to the oxygen? Yeah, you've used up some of it. You have used up about 5%. The nitrogen stays the same. Our body doesn't use that. And we add carbon dioxide to the air we exhale. You can actually breathe the same air in and out a few times and still continue getting oxygen out of it.
If you breathe into a paper bag, why is that bad?
It's not so much bad. It's because what's really happening is every time you breathe in and out in a paper bag, what's going to be increasing?
Carbon dioxide.
The carbon dioxide level. And if you breathe in too high a level of carbon dioxide level, that's not good. That changes your blood pH and has some other effects. But sometimes if a person's hyperventilating, have you ever heard that? Like breathing in and out really shallow, and sometimes people will have them breathe in and out of a paper bag to sort of calm that respiration down. Gio?
What is your for?
What does it do?
Yeah.
I don't exactly know what it does.
Does it make you like gas?
No, it's not that makes you gag. It's anything deep in the back of your throat makes you gag. But why don't you gag on food?
Because you like it?
Because it's smooth.
Because you know. So part of your gag reflex when you have food and you're chewing up and swallowing it is your brain knows that, and so it doesn't institute this gag reflex to make you get rid of that food because it knows you're eating and you're going to swallow it. But if you have something in your throat when you're not eating, you're not expecting it, something touches the back of your throat, that institutes that gag reflex. I'll give you another story from my childhood. This is mean. I probably shouldn't tell you.
I like these.
But it's mean. So I have a younger sister. She's like 3 years younger than me.
You shoved something in her mouth.
And no, but I was her big brother, and so she always wanted to play with me and whatever, and I never would let her. But anyway, so sometimes I would say, all right, I'll play with you, but only if you gag yourself 3 times. And I'd make her like gag herself, and I would be dying laughing, and she's like gagging. And then I would let her play, but then we'd play like karate or something. But I don't know why I did that. It was kind of funny to watch. It's kind of mean now that I think back to it.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
It's really weird.
Well, it's even weirder that she did it though.
I thought you were going to say she could.
No, maybe she didn't. I don't remember a few things. But it was just kind of funny.
I feel like
See, you're the mean older sister. All right. Anyway, let's finish up here. So when we breathe in, we can breathe in through our nose or through our mouth. They both connect in the back of our throat at your trachea. But what is it better to breathe through?
your nose.
Why is it better to breathe through your nose? Nita?
Because, like, if you run or something, then it'll, like, your chest will start to burn or the throat will burn.
If you're breathing through your mouth, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does dry out your mouth a little bit. What else? Your nose has some added features that your mouth doesn't. Yeah?
The snot and nose hairs.
Yeah, snot and nose hairs are good for you. Because what is the mucus in your nose and your nose hairs do to help you, Joe? Yeah, it filters out little bacteria, dust, pollen, get filtered out. Start carrying this thumbs this really. Breathe those nose hairs. So your nose helps get rid of some of that stuff in the air that you breathe in. And then that air travels into your trachea. That's also known as your windpipe. It goes down the front of your neck. It's reinforced with like rings of cartilage to make sure it's strong and doesn't get damaged. Because again, that's how you get air in your lungs. What's that?
What's the cartilage called?
It's just called cartilage.
Oh, you said like razor cartilage. Wait, can I feel it?
Rings of cartilage.
Oh,
It's like these round rings to reinforce it.
Oh,
Chris?
When you breathe through your nose when it's cold out, it like hurts your lungs.
I don't know. Cold air is harder to breathe in. It's I don't know. It just sometimes irritates your lungs. So the air travels down your trachea into your chest, and then your trachea sort of branches into two main branches. One goes to your right lung, one goes to your left lung. And the name of those branches, you probably have heard, are called the bronchi. Why have you maybe heard that?
Bronchitis.
Yeah, if you ever heard of bronchitis, bronchitis is when you get an infection in those tubes. So eventually those tubes branch and they get smaller and smaller and smaller until they eventually form these little clusters of air sacs we call alveoli. Not ravioli, alveoli. Probably would not want to eat alveoli, although some people do eat lung. And so in these alveoli is where the oxygen diffuses into our blood and the carbon dioxide diffuses out of our blood. They look like little clusters of grapes or little pieces of broccoli. I'll show you in a second once you're done writing.
Who doesn't want to eat that?